Hello everyone, Professor Toybox here, and I'm back in my Atlantis toy box with Ezra Bridger from the Star Wars Rebels cartoon. For this video, I'd planned to move on to something new in Level 3 in my randomly generated dungeon adventure, but the more I thought about this ruined area, the more I realized it isn't done yet. Last time I created some volcanic debris that falls in random places here. Although it's pretty cool, I don't think that by itself it's going to provide a unique experience every time I play through this area. I need to add more possibilities here so I won't know what to expect when I come through here. Adding some enemies is an obvious choice, and I've already set that up. I've got a couple of enemy generators that I've set up over here with some additional locators that I've spread throughout the area. But I want some other options too, so I got to thinking, what if I combine the randomizer with the effects generator? I think it can do more than just add visual effects to an area. It can affect the gameplay as well. And the thing that I was thinking about specifically was the wide area smoke. So I'm going to come down here and drop an action button and an effects generator. And a locator. I think the smoke, by its nature, can help hide some things and make things a little bit more interesting. So I'm going to drop this over here just to kind of test this a little bit and see exactly what kind of coverage this provides. And if I come into new locator connection and connect up to that guy, button will go ahead and connect just for testing purposes to the effects generator, and I want to play for right now just once, and we'll do let's do the large area smoke and see what that does. So we'll come over here, hit the button, and you'll notice that tends to obscure your view pretty well. And I'm thinking that could hide enemies, that could hide traps, that could hide all kinds of things. Now let's see, just for spacing purposes, how wide that goes. It actually extends off the plateau a little bit. Don't think it needs to, so I can move this into the plateau a little further. And how much further past it over here? Quite a ways past. So the effects came to about here. So I'm thinking this locator could probably sit right about maybe, right about there. And I'm going to move my button down here just so I can get a look at this thing when I press it. And I'm going to go ahead and move this in a little bit as well. So we'll drop it there. And now let's see what we get. Hopefully it'll stay confined to the plateau here. Okay, so it's confined that way. And I don't see it coming off the plateau over this way. Let's do that again. Yeah, so we could move this over a little further. Up there's a little bit of smoke there. Yeah, I guess that's all right. It wouldn't cover too much of this area. But it's blowing here from right to left, and boy, does it obscure things down on this area pretty well. And it goes pretty far. So I think just maybe 3 wide of these. 3 of these along the width of this thing should go good because this smoke will blow over this way. I could drop another one probably about here and another one probably over about this way. And then do that maybe for 3, so maybe about 9 locators and 9 effects generators should be enough to cover the plateau with some smoke. And I don't have to space those out evenly. I can mix them up a little bit so there's some clear areas and also some areas that are thickly covered with smoke. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now and set that up, and I'll be back in just a moment and we'll keep on going. Okay, I've got the locators all set. I've got 9 of them, and I discovered something new today for me. Maybe you already knew this, but looks like you can connect up as many locators as you want to an effects generator, and it puts the effect in all of those places. So I only needed 1 effects generator for this. I went ahead and moved the button back down here, and I set it to loop the effects. So this will go now indefinitely until I tell it to stop. And as you can see, I got the whole plateau covered in smoke. And that looks pretty good because that'll help hide bad guys in there. That'll help hide some traps and things. So that's pretty cool. And then I set up this reset button down here, which will go ahead and stop the smoke when I'm ready. And I also set it up to stop the falling objects and the enemy generators that I set up earlier to defeat those waves. So that'll be my reset button here for the plateau. And speaking of the falling objects, last time I had the time delayer hooked up directly to the randomizer, and the random signals come back over and trigger the time delayer, so the thing would keep going. And I realized with that setup there was absolutely no way to stop this once it started. And if performance becomes an issue and I'm on the other side of the level and I don't need these things to be dropping, I'd have no way to shut it off. So I put a logic gate in here, and the time delayer now inputs to the logic gate, and the logic gate outputs to the randomizer. The randomizer still connects directly to this on each of the random signals to start the delayer again. But the advantage here is that I can close this gate when I want to, and that will stop the cycle here. So then when this thing fires, it wouldn't go through the gate and wouldn't get to the randomizer. So this way I have a way to turn that off. So I thought I'd just point that out before we keep going. So the next thing I want to do, now that I got the smoke in here, I've already got some enemies in, but some additional possibilities for this area would be nice to make it unpredictable. So I think what I'm going to do now is drop down a few replayers, and we're going to put some traps in this area. And I can kind of envision Rourke's men booby-trapping this area, potentially. Let's see, replayer. Did I go too far? I think I did. I get busy talking and I'm not paying attention. Replayer, there we go. And we'll go ahead and drop down 3 of these for right now. 1, 2, 3. And I can kind of envision Rourke's men setting up some traps in this area. And so that might be another possibility. So I'm going to go ahead and step on and record, step off, so I can get back in the toy box drawers. And one of the things they might set up would be tripwires. So I left the smoke on so I can kind of see where the smoke would be really thick. Those would be a good place to hide these little tripwires and traps and things. So the player would have to go slowly. So we'll put one here for this replayer. Maybe another possibility over here. That would be a couple of options. And then over on the side, to mix things up a little bit, maybe we can come up here to the instant fun, and we have an exploding mine that will go off when you step on it. And so I thought maybe this might be kind of a nice booby trap for the area, especially over here on the edges. It's kind of still visible over here, so that's not a good hiding place for that. But maybe we would put one over here. The smoke can get kind of thick. And then maybe over on the other end over this way. We'll stick one out over here. Maybe not. That mountain area kind of blocks it. And this isn't too obscured. It's not too well hidden there. We got the tripwire covering that area. So just kind of finding a place to put these. This is kind of a nice area here that's a little bit obscured. Put that there. Maybe put one up this way. There we go. That's probably good enough. Don't want to put down too many. So now we'll go ahead and stop and clear. Step on the next one. I'll go ahead and do this for the other replayers, and I'll meet you back here in a minute. Okay, I've hooked up the other replayers, and I moved the replayers and the effects generator over to the other side of the plateau where the enemy generators are, just to make it easy to connect up this next step, so they're all over there. We don't need this button anymore to trigger the smoke, so we're going to go ahead and delete that, because I don't need that anymore. And we'll come down here and turn off everything. So that should stop the smoke and everything that was going on up here. Smoke clears. Okay. So next thing we want to do, we've got basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 possibilities if you consider the falling debris from last time. So now we're going to go ahead and hook up a randomizer and mix these things up. And so we'll go ahead and drop this. And I've already kind of worked up a little matrix here for this, just to kind of make this interesting. And to make this easy to hook up, I'm going to go ahead and move that time delayer out here. And put this with the others. Okay, so there's our falling objects. And that logic gate, I'm going to leave this trigger area over here, so when you walk through it, that'll open up that logic gate. And it's just a matter now of whether the randomizer will select this to start it or not. So coming in here, and I'm not going to force you to watch all of these as I hook them up, but I will provide a copy of my matrix on my blog that shows what I hooked up for each random trigger, so that those of you who are following along in your own toy box and building this can see how I hooked it up. So the first thing I'm going to do for random trigger 1 is we're going to hook this up to the falling object so we get those debris. And new logic connection, random trigger 1. I'm going to hook this up to each of the enemy generators. Okay, so on random trigger 1, we get the falling debris and both sets of enemies. So I'll hook up the other random trigger signals, and I'll be back in a moment. Okay, all the random triggers are hooked up. And now the last thing we want to do is we're going to hook this up. And rather than hooking directly to the time delayer, we're going to go ahead and delete that link, because that would start the falling objects for everything. We're going to go ahead and when entered by player any, we're going to come over here and invoke the randomizer. And so now that will mix up what we've got on this plateau. So that should be pretty good. And now to go ahead and test this out. I have not stepped through this trigger area over here yet, so all of those distance checkers we set up last time are on. So if I wander into any of those trigger areas up there or even near them, I'm going to die instantly. So I want to come over here and step inside this trigger area and out. Now starts the volcanic activity there, which I'm going to show you this area next time. That also starts everything up here, initializes all those distance checkers. So now we can run up this ramp and we'll see what we get. Oh, and before I do that, always a good idea, save your game. And once again, you get to take a sneak peek at all of the toy boxes I've been working on or have built. So some of those, again, you'll get to see in the future. Some of those maybe not. Some are just experiments. But okay, here we go. Let's see what we get. We've got some smoke. Ooh, I see some enemies on the radar. There's a laser beam over there. That shows up through the smoke. Interesting. Have to see if there's a setting there. I think I think the tripwire just took out a bad guy.
That would make you the loser.
Okay, there's still some more bad guys hiding in here. Whoa. What just happened? I think the bad guy stepped on a mine. Oh, here we go. Yep, some bad guys.
Can't stop me.
Some bad guys stepped on mines. Oh, crap. Speaking of which.
Oh yeah, I'm back.
And there it is. So that smoke hid that mine pretty well. I did not see that at all. Hey, we made it through the area. Yeah, I like this better. I think this will make this area much more unpredictable. I'll have to see if I can tweak those laser tripwires, if there's a way to hide those or not. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed this video. Subscribe to my channel or sign up for my blog to see what we do next as we continue in this series. And you can find logic diagrams and build tips there as well for the different challenges that we make. And for now, I'm signing off from Atlantis, and I'll see you next time.